怪獣のいる湖には世界中から冒険野郎が集まり、いそいそと水に入っていく。ネス湖にはアイ・ニュービーと彼の水陸両用車が。岡名頑固では60人のダイバーたちがオモポゴを探す。彼らは赤や黄色の潜水艦、そして時には巨大な檻を使う。スウェーデンのストラバン湖の罠には豚がかかった。日本の池田湖ではイッシーを酔わせようと酒を注ぎ、24時間監視所の落成式をミス・ハイビスカスが行う。
6倍ズームレンズ付きの8ミリカメラで。
妙なことに怪獣湖の大部分は艦隊にある。アイルランドの浅いリー湖にも怪しい主がいるようだ。60年5月のある晩、聖職者3人がボートから見たのだ。バーク神父、マレー神父、クギレイ司教だ。
We were lolling about in the boat, doing nothing, hoping for a breeze would come up that we could do a bit of fishing in the night rise. When suddenly Father Quigley said, "Do you see what I see?" "What do you see?" "Look over there," says he. So I looked. Something on top of the water. Hump, head out of it. Moving slightly to our right, slowly. And I remember saying, "What the hell is it?"
It wasn't, if it was a fish, you'd see some kind of commotion on the surface. Or if it was a needle-like thing, you'd see a kind of wriggle, but there was nothing at all. It could have been the periscope of a little submarine.
My reaction was one of astonishment, because I knew that it was a very large creature, larger than any fish that could have been in the lake. Afterwards, we discussed the matter, and, well, we agreed that it was something in the nature of a large serpent.
They said we had been indulging too liberally or something, that we were seeing strange creatures on the water. Well, you can say quite honestly that we didn't have a single thing in the way of nourishment on that particular day.
If it was a crocodile, an Irish crocodile. We could have some.
だが、リー湖の珍獣も他の怪獣同様擬人化されたのだった。
Here is the most unusual film of recent years, for it proves the existence of a monster in Loch Ness. The loch is 21 miles long, 1.5 miles broad, and 900 feet deep. The crosses on this diagram reveal where it is stated that the monster has been most frequently seen in the past. The arrowheads indicate where it has been seen on the road and shore. And this is the point our cameramen were stationed at when, after a long and arduous vigil, they actually filmed it. Through our telescopic lenses, we saw the grey waters suddenly heave as the monster cut through them with lightning speed. Climatic conditions and exposure day and night to bleak and stormy weather affected our film, which accounts for the misty results. But this is unimportant in comparison to the achievement of filming the monster itself for the first time in history.
これは1936年のものだが、その2年後、外科医の K. ウィルソンがネッシーの有名な写真を撮った。1934年に撮られたこのヒレの写真は、金属職人の H. グレイが撮ったものだ。51年にはエル・スチュアートのセコブの写真が。この写真は怪獣か波か。これは怪獣の横腹か、偽物か。77年の写真は怪獣の頭と首か。50年間の写真は謎を深めるばかりだが、目撃者たちは確信する。この船には怪獣の目撃者が何人か乗っている。湖の水質管理をしてきた A. キャンベルは 18回も見たという。銀行家の P. マクナムは55年に有名な写真を撮り、会計士 P. スミスと妻のグエンは77年に撮った。
Taken aback, shut my eyes 3 times to see that I wasn't imagining things, and then the head, neck, huge hump body, perfectly clear without any doubt, and I knew right away that that creature was scared because of its behavior. The head was going like that, quite, whoa, fantastic. And then I realized itself. The trawlers were present. As soon as the bow of the first trawler came within my line of vision, naturally it was within its line of vision. Oh, heavens. Plunged out of sight, gone. Well, I estimated the length of the body 30 feet at least. The height of the head, neck above water level, 6 feet. And the colour of this kitten was grey.
I saw something beginning to surface, and in a state of very great excitement, took down the camera, fitted on the long focus lens without looking at anything. By the time I looked up, this creature was showing a black, undulating, or rather a dark-coloured, undulating creature, a live creature. I lifted the camera, took this shot, which was naturally rather hazy because I had to hold this long focus camera. There was camera shake, excitement, and all the rest. In the picture is the tower of Urquhart Castle. I understand it's a 40-feet high tower, which gives an excellent impression of the overall length of the monster. It's been estimated at between loosely 30 and 40 feet. Before I could get a second shot or anything else, as far as I remember, because it's all hazy now with the excitement, it was gone.
Well, we were standing on the south shore of the loch, some way up here, looking across the loch. Peter was looking down at an oil drum, somewhere further down, and I was looking across at the castle, just having a look at it, and this thing suddenly came vertically up out of the water.
Well, my first impression was of a periscope-like object which had a slight lean to it in the water, although the head part seemed to be held horizontally. It appeared to rise up a considerable height, at least the height of a man, and it was, I would say, a good foot thick.
With the naked eye, it was just a black pillar shape with a rectangular-shaped head on the top.
At one point, I watched it actually turn its head through about 90 degrees, because normally it was in profile, but the head slowly turned round until it appeared as though it was either looking directly at us or directly away from us. And when it did this, it appeared to be the same thickness as the neck. It disappeared as a separate entity, and then it turned back again the same way as before.
I've no doubt.
目撃者たちが何かを見て写真を撮ったのは疑いませんが、それは魚の類か、船の航跡、海鳥、アザラシなどと言われてきました。見間違いはよくあることです。例えば、これは有名なネス湖の怪獣の写真に見えますが、実はここで撮ったものです。ここはスリランカのある港ですが、ここは象がよく泳ぎに来るところで、右手の島は象島と言われています。ネス湖で目撃されたのが泳ぐ象だとは言いませんが、見間違いはよくあるのです。だが、ネス湖は半世紀の間、ハンターたちを引きつけてきた。中でも航空技師の T. リンズデルは20年間も毎夏湖上生活を送るベテランで、怪獣話も豊富だ。
I saw an object about 250 yards away, as near as I can guess, which came out of the water. Sort of, at first I thought it was a cormorant's neck, but then of course you could see that it wasn't a cormorant because it was too big, and it came out like a black snake, like a black anaconda. That's what it looked like. It came out of the water like that, and then it went down, and there was a boil of white foam. And then it broke surface once again with a boil and went on. I didn't see it again. Very quick, seconds. But it was real. And it had a startling effect on me, as it does, I think, when you get moderately close to these things, it suddenly becomes tremendously alive. And the first thing I did was put my life jacket on. You see, I don't normally wear one because you can't live in them, quite frankly. I've got them around. But the first thing I did was put it on.
彼は湖の監視を60年4月に始めたが、湖畔を通行中にも見ている。
I saw this immense, extraordinary object. It looked like a back of a huge animal, reddish brown. It stood 2 or 3 feet out of the water, 4 or 5 feet across, probably nearly as long as this boat, quite motionless, reddish brown, and a blotch on the left flank, which I could see very clearly. And then, while I was watching it, started to move. A most electrifying moment. This huge thing started to surge away across the water. And I turned the camera and I shot about 40 feet of black and white film at extreme range, but nevertheless it was on film. This hump going across the water made a huge glassy wake, no prop wash visible. And then it approached the far shore and then turned through 90 degrees and progressed under the surface, throwing up a wave which has since been measured on the film at a height of about 2 feet. In 1966, the Royal Air Force long-range photographic experts studied the film, and they said the film is not faked. It's taken from approximately the place stated at Loch Ness, which is about 300 feet up on the shore. The object seen is neither a surface boat nor a submarine. It moves up to a speed of 10 miles an hour, and a cross-section through it, a sausage slice, would be 6 feet in width, and as 3 feet of it is above the surface, they estimate will be at least 2 feet below. And finally, they said we think it is probably animate, alive.
「怪獣を見るなら今やカメラより性能のいいものがある」。R. パーカー率いる高技術チームは騒音を立てぬよう靴を脱ぎ、長感度水中監視装置で獲物を追う。乗せているのは高価で最高の機械類だ。カメラ以外にマイク、水中超音機、モニターに探知機。この探知機が最も重要だとパーカーは言う。
It's quite famous, this particular instrument we have before us, as we did in fact on our very first visit to the loch, record a large animal in excess of 43 feet in length. And we had it, in fact, on this screen here for over 1.5 hours. The particular animal that we detected, although it was large, had in its shadow what appeared to be a baby. And a baby, I mean a mere 20 feet. On the second sighting of 2 smaller ones, which was some nights later, we recorded these on 16mm colour film during the night. But on the sonar screen, they can be seen quite closely together, representing like a series of joined dots, which of course is the reflective pulses from the transmitted signal from the sonar transmitter. They are both fairly close together, as can be seen, and we firmly believe by the sheer echo and by the nature of the signal we receive, they must be large animate objects. In actual fact, the termination of that long-term and most interesting encounter was the fact that somebody in a local yacht, presumably on holiday, was unaware of the excitement we were having and decided to use the loo at around about sort of 5:30 in the morning. So you gather one thing from that Nettie doesn't like flushing toilets.
だが、アメリカの B ラインズは水中カメラで怪獣の存在を証明しかかった。
When these cameras are suspended in the water and are taking pictures, normally they are rather steady because there aren't very many underwater currents in Loch Ness. We did have a rare episode once in 1975 when we think one of the animals started disturbing our whole rig. And it bumped into it, knocked it, turned it upside down, and the camera pointed up towards the surface, took a picture of the boat. And all of a sudden, in one frame, we took a picture. We think that is of the open mouth and head of one of these animals. That's a picture that's pretty difficult to say what it is because it doesn't look like what most zoologists expected from the kind of animal they think the Loch Ness Monster may be. But that's the data, it's the true data, and that's the picture that was taken.
彼は75年に頭と首とヒレの写真を撮った。
Maybe from 30 to 50 feet long, has a long neck, very powerful neck, probably a small head. Flippers, at least some of which are somewhat diamond shaped, and a powerful tail. And, we'd like the zoologist to put the name on. As a lawyer, I can quote what some of our British barristers have told us, that if the Nessie story had been a murder case, there'd have been a hanging long since.
私自身は湖の怪獣の存在は疑問に思っています。湖は水の量が少ないから、呼吸をしに出てくれば、もっと多くの人に見られてるはずですし、本当にいるのなら、日本人に捉えられてるはずです。